Everybody, welcome to the No DQ live recap of WWE Backlash 2020. Hyped up by the greatest wrestling match of all time, Randy Orton versus Edge. Was it the greatest wrestling match of all time? Let's talk about it. But first, we have to get through the other pay-per-view matches, including the kickoff match, which was for the United States Championship, Apollo Crews versus Andrade. Now, in my opinion, I think the title matches should not be on the kickoff. Just my own personal opinion. I think that you could put any number of matches on the kickoff, but the title matches should always be on the main card. Tom McCarthy with the $2 super chat says, the greatest kickoff match ever. Well, I would not go that far to call it the greatest kickoff match ever. But it was a decent kickoff match, I will say that much. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat, thank you, says, Rift Aronson is the greatest beaver-faced MF ever. Well, I am not going to mention Rift Aronson's name any more than I have to, but thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Just a reminder to everybody that we'll be sending in super chats. I very much appreciate them, but please try to stick to the topic if you can. Josh Mansfield with the $2 super chat says, tonight proved why Paul Heyman should have stayed 6-1 tonight. And Tony H with the $2 super chat says, WWE disrespects the US title too much. Hashtag pre-show belt. Well, there was a report that Apollo and Andrade was going to be downgraded to the kickoff match. Interestingly enough, right after the news comes out that Paul Heyman is no longer the executive director of Raw, Heyman reportedly was very much behind Apollo Crews and Andrade, so hopefully this is not the beginning of the end for both of these guys. Anyways, Angel Garza came out there with Andrade. Kevin Owens came out before the match to do commentary. He was wearing a tie. That's about as dressed up as he was going to get. Crews hit his standing moonsault and shooting star press, but then Garza got on the apron and Owens pulled Garza off the apron, hit the stunner. Andrade attempted to capitalize with the hammerlock DDT, but Crews countered out of it, hit the sit-down powerbomb. 1, 2, 3, still the U.S. champion, Apollo Crews. Hamp Connell with a $2 super chat says, the kickoff should have been that lame women's match. Well, which one? There were 2 women's matches on this show. And speaking of the women, let's go ahead and get to the main card. But first, Adrian with a $2 super chat says, so will Kevin Owens turn on Apollo? Wow, creative. I would rather see Apollo go heel. I've been saying this for the longest time. I think Apollo Crews could really benefit from a heel turn. Ray with a $1 super chat, but no comment. Thank you for that. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, stick to the topic is the greatest catchphrase ever. Thank you for that. And Psycho, stick to the topic. Our first pay-per-view match of the main card was the women's tag team title match. Bayley and Sasha Banks against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the IIconics. Bayley and Sasha were interviewed before the match. Sasha said their friendship is unstoppable. Bayley was upset that the interviewer was trying to cause more dissension. The rules of this match, 3 women competed, and you could only tag in your own partner, so no shadiness where you could tag in random people or anything like that. You have to tag in your own partner. And there was a standoff early in the match. Everybody started brawling. And for the finish of this match, Alexa Bliss hit the Twisted Bliss on Peyton Royce. But then Sasha grabbed Alexa, rolled her up. 1, 2, 3. Champions retain their titles. Sasha grabbed the titles, gave Bayley her titles. The two of them celebrated, and all is still good in the Bayley and Sasha camp. Okay, opening match. Nothing special, but it was okay. Shanti with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, OT off topic. I am getting used to these sit-in crowd and am enjoying watching the cameos of Caden Carter in the crowd. I love their reactions. The PC people, they do a pretty good job, and I think for this pay-per-view, they did turn it up a bit more, even more so than on Raw and SmackDown. Which is fine because it is a pay-per-view, so if you're gonna go way over the top with your reactions, it would make sense to do it on the pay-per-view, right? And let's see here. Adrian with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Adrian. Says, great match. I watched it with my pants down and the sound off. Really, Adrian? That was not a cool comment. Just saying that right now. Come on, guys. Do better. Moving on here to Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. By the way, if you guys make shitty comments, I'm going to call you out on it. So, yeah, that was an effed up comment, Adrian. Just saying. We had Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. For several weeks, we've seen this storyline with Jeff Hardy and the DUI setup. We still don't know officially who was behind it. Pretty back and forth match between these two. Hardy went after Sheamus on the outside of the ring and was tempted to use the steel steps, but cooler heads prevailed. Sheamus then dominated for a while. Hardy made a comeback, and then Hardy sent Sheamus into the post, hit the twist of fate, hit the swanton bomb, but Sheamus got his foot on the ropes. They ended up fighting on the outside of the ring. Sheamus then hit a brogue kick on the outside, got Jeff Hardy back in the ring, hit a second brogue kick, and 1, 2, 3 picked up the victory over Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy did not get his payback on this show. Damn you, Jeff Hardy. I'm mad at Jeff Hardy because we have the No DQ Predictions League run by Noah Foster at nfoster1916 on Twitter. And I lost my lead because of Jeff Hardy. So Jeff, you let me down, man. I believed in you. I predicted you, and you let me down. Ken Terminated by Google with a $3 super chat says, thank you for burying Adrian for that line, WTF. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Kids watch these live streams. No DQ is family friendly. So please, guys, show some class if you're going to leave a super chat. No red tube humor, as Ken puts it. Tony H with a $2 super chat says that Jeff Harvey is a son of a gun. Nice little Mike Adamle reference there from Tony H. Next up, we had Asuka versus Nia Jax. And by the way, Hamp Kano with a $2 super chat says, Sheamus has done a great job on the mic lately. Yeah, he's been fine. I just feel like this Jeff Hardy and Sheamus storyline has been done before, whether it was Samoa Joe making fun of Jeff's problems or CM Punk. It just feels like a repeat of what we've already seen in the past. So, Asuka versus Nia Jax, and this was for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka tried to put away Nia early with some submissions. Makes sense. Try to take down the giant and finish her off early if you can. But Nia kept going. She tried to finish off Asuka, but Asuka would not quit. She kept fighting back. Nia hit her sit-down powerbomb, which Asuka kicked out of. And then the two of them started fighting on the outside of the ring. And before you knew it, both of them got counted out. Yes, a double count-out finish on this pay-per-view, which I'm not a fan of. When you do pay-per-view matches, you gotta have decisive winners, unless there's a really good storyline reason for a double count-out or a double DQ. And I don't believe this one needed to be a double count-out. Asuka should have beaten Nia, move on to Charlotte, next feud, do something different, whatever. Guess we got to see one more match between these two at Extreme Rules, which has a new logo, by the way. Josh Mansfield with a $5 super chat says, this match was 1 or 2, which showed that Paul Heyman needed to stay. Vince doesn't get it. Hashtag Vince isn't best for business and hashtag cancel Charlotte. Well, I disagree with the Charlotte part. I'm fine with Charlotte being a top star in the women's division. I just think her being on all 3 shows was absolutely ridiculous. So if she's just going to be on Raw to feud with Asuka, I'm okay with it. Game is on 100 with a $2 super chat says, another Nia and Asuka match at Extreme Rules? No way! Exclamation point. Moving on here to our Universal Championship match. And where's Kayfabe Candy ass? I haven't seen him in the chat room. I got a message for him, but I'll save that for the end if he's even in here. I'm sure he'll watch the live stream later, but where are you, Kayfabe? I got something to say to you. So we had the Universal Championship match, Braun Strowman versus The Miz and John Morrison. We all knew where this was going. Pretty much everyone. Before the match, it was revealed that Miz and Morrison could not be co-champions. Basically, whichever one of them pinned Braun Strowman would be the sole Universal Champion. Now, this added information was not really needed for us to all predict that Strowman would retain. We all figured it anyways, but this just made it more obvious. And Otis appeared backstage and teased the idea of cashing in Money in the Bank, but of course, spoiler alert, that did not happen. Adrian with a $5 super chat says, dark Irish humor, Aaron. Apologies to the sensitive Yanks. I was not aware that Ireland was so far behind with the times when it comes to human decency and appropriate comments, but okay, Adrian, I'll take your word for it. Darren Frazier with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Darren, and thank you, Adrian. Says, I actually liked the crowd for this match. I mean, I think they did a fine job, and the main event had quite the crowd, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. Miz and Morrison came to the ring for their match, and they aired their music video that was interrupted by Strowman on SmackDown. This time, we got about halfway through. They did show the whole thing during the kickoff, in case you guys missed it. We saw about half this video, which was so bad that I thought it was entertaining. So I guess it worked, because I did find it to be amusing. We had Strowman interrupt halfway through. We had the match. Miz and Morrison worked together for most of the match. They were doing well against Strowman, but then Miz hit the skull-crushing finale. Morrison was the legal man, though, and went for the pin. However, because Morrison was going to become champion, Miz pulled off Morrison, then realized he made a mistake. You know, it's better if one of them beats Strowman at least. So Miz put Morrison back on Strowman, but Strowman kicked out, and then Strowman hit the choke slam to Miz, power slammed Morrison, and retained the title. Will we see a breakup between Miz and Morrison? I think they're better off together than apart. And I could just see them both being lost in the shuffle again if they split. So yeah, no big surprise in this one. And then we had our WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, or Bob the Lash as I like to refer to him as. MVP was out there, and before the match even got going, MVP distracted McIntyre. Lashley put on the full Nelson. Referees had to pull Lashley off McIntyre. However, McIntyre wanted to go on with the match as scheduled, so the bell rang. We had the match. They fought on the outside of the ring, and then Lashley picked up McIntyre for what I thought was a Death Valley driver, but basically dropped him, and McIntyre, poor guy, almost landed right on his head. That could have been a really bad fall right there. I mean, hopefully McIntyre was okay. I mean, he finished the match and appeared to be fine, so I'm guessing that he's all right. But scary moment there. Darren Frazier with a $2 super chat says, "This was the match of the night for me." Really? You thought that this was the greatest match of the evening? You thought it was greater than the greatest match ever? That's really saying something, Darren. And Justin Brosnan with a $2 super chat, but no comment. Thank you for that, Justin. I appreciate it. Lashley, throughout the match, tried to put away McIntyre. McIntyre kept kicking out at 1, which I actually like. Change of pace from the usual 2-count kick out. And he is the WWE champion after all. So I do like that. And Lashley eventually hit a spear, got a 2-count this time, and then Lana made her way to the ringside area, got on the apron, started arguing with the referee. That's when McIntyre hit the Glasgow Kiss headbutt to Lashley. Lashley fell onto Lana. She fell off the apron, landed on MVP, and then McIntyre hit the Claymore to retain the WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley. I thought this was good. Nice storyline advancement to further this dissension between Lashley and Lana. Was not expecting Lashley to win the title, but good stuff here to protect Lashley in defeat and keep his storyline going with Lana and MVP. Wasn't like it was a clean finish or anything, so we could always set up a different match down the line between Lashley and McIntyre, which we might get anyways at Extreme Rules. Then we had what was supposed to be the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team titles. A match that was literally added the day of the show. As it turns out, they did not really have an official match. And I'll tell you what the deal is here in just a second. Scott Briller with a $5 super chat, thank you, Scott, says, "No DQ is the greatest wrestling YouTube show ever." Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And if you guys are enjoying this live stream, please spread the word. Tell a friend. The No DQ Street Team. That's what I need from you guys. Word of mouth goes a long way. Just tell a friend, anybody you know who watches wrestling, whether they go on Facebook or Reddit or Twitter, have them check out this video. So what happened here was the Profits and the Raiders were fighting on the outside area in the parking lot. They smashed up Braun Strowman's car. So Strowman's car once again ruined after he just got it fixed following the prank from Miz and Morrison. They fought in the backstage area. They were using the golf clubs and the axes and the bowling ball, all the props from their various challenges. And then they put all the weapons down, started fighting. they had these little dreams throughout this match, if you want to call it a match, where they reflected on those past moments from the challenges. Ivar then took the bowling ball and threw it into Montez Ford's crotch. And Bianca Belair on Twitter was, rightfully so, not amused with this because she wants kids one day. And Ivar may have ruined this for her. The two teams then continued to fight. Dawkins pounced Ivar through a window, and then they started arguing with each other, and that's when a group of bikers showed up. And the leader of this biker gang was revealed as Akira Tozawa. Yes, Tozawa. He wanted to outshine these two tag teams. So he sent off his ninjas, his biker gang, to beat up the Profits and the Raiders. That's when a lightning bolt went off and the Profits had their red cups. The Vikings had their Popeye spinach, which is the turkey legs. And as Justin Brosnan mentioned with a $2 super chat, the turkey leg Thor hammer, though. Yes, it is the Thor hammer. It's the Popeye spinach. It is the turkey leg. And the Profits and the Raiders, they merged together. They fought off these ninjas. And then Tozawa brought in a very tall ninja, the Super Ninja, to try and finish these guys off. And somehow they all ended up on top of the production truck. And one by one, the Profits went into the dumpster and Eric went into the dumpster. And then Ivar did a dive off the top of the truck into the dumpster. And all of them were laying inside this dumpster. I wonder if this was supposed to be some symbolic reference to this entire match, that it's garbage. I don't know. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, this was absolutely idiotic. Feel bad for the tag teams. You know, I have no idea why FTR quit WWE. How could they quit? Look at this classic right here that these guys were involved in. This might have been the greatest match of all time right here. Adrian with a $2 super chat says, the Revival were right. The tag team division is a joke. Well, remember when the Viking Raiders, people took them seriously, and now they're a comedy tag team. So it is what it is. The female referee showed up and said you guys were supposed to have a tag team match. And then, of course, she had that line that all the other women in these different challenges have used. She said, Ivar, you're cute. Eric, not so much. And that was the segment. A cinematic fight between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits with no finish. This is why we did not do it in the No DQ Predictions League. I told Noah Foster, we do not predict matches that are announced the day of the show. And this is why. Because it wasn't even a match. It was a cinematic segment. And I don't know about this one. Like, there were times where I thought it was entertaining, and then there were times where I was like, man, that was really dumb. So, again, it might just depend on your own personal tastes. I think it was very polarizing. I think some people loved it, and some people thought it was the worst thing they've ever seen. I'm not really sure how I feel personally, so I may actually fall in the middle. Mike Nixon with a $2 super chat says, was that Tozawa? Yes, it was. Tozawa was the leader of this biker gang. They should have brought in the Yeti. Instead of having that guy as the tall biker, Ninja, whatever you want to call them, they should have had they should have had the Yeti show up from WCW. That would have been a funny little throwback right there. And now we move on to our main event of the evening. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about the greatest wrestling match ever. Edge, Randy Orton. We had the entrances for these two guys. When Edge's music hit, the crowd went crazy. All of a sudden, it didn't sound like 50 people. It sounded like 1,000 people cheering for Edge. WWE did some enhancements with this match. For one thing, we had some added crowd heat for this match with cheering and booing. Mixed reaction to this. Some people liked it. Some people did not like it. Adrian with a $2 super chat says, a nice tribute to the Fink at the start. That was really cool. So when Edge and Randy Orton made their entrances, you had Howard Finkel's voice announcing both competitors, and we had a graphic with the old school MSG mic that would come down in Madison Square Garden, and Howard Finkel would do the ring introductions. I thought this was really awesome. I thought this was a great touch to use Finkel's voice for this. Why could they not use like JR and Jerry Lawler's commentary for this? Like old school commentary for this. But the Finkel thing was really cool. Ken Terminated by Google with a $2 super chat says, bring back Shockmaster, Vince, or Triple H. And the legendary Mike B with a $2 super chat says, here's for the no DQ cats, Casey and Sassy. Well, thank you for that, Mike B. And Mike Nixon with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, I give the main event an A+. Well, there you go. Greatest match of all time, Mike Nixon. Tony H with a $2 super chat says, Edge and Orton or Styles and Bryan. I'll give you my opinion on that in just a few minutes here at the end. We had Charles Robinson out there as the referee, and a nice little throwback here. He was wearing the classic referee attire from the 80s and 90s with the bow tie. He went over the rules before the match. We had these overhead cameras. We had a camera in the turnbuckle. So a lot of different camera angles for this match. Adrian with a $2 super chat says the punt is back, one more positive from the pay-per-view. We will get to that here in a few minutes as well. So the match started off pretty slow, feeling out process, trading some basic wrestling holds, and then things started to get a little bit more intense when Edge gave Randy Orton a headbutt, sending Orton to the outside of the ring. Edge jumped off the top rope onto Orton, and then it was revealed that Orton was busted open. We had blood in this match. Now, I'm thinking that this was like the Brock Lesnar blading. Well, not blading, because I think it might have been a hard way cut. Back at SummerSlam 2016, Orton got busted open from Lesnar, and I think the same thing happened here where Edge just gave him that headbutt, busted open Orton the hard way, and I believe you had the officials tend to Orton because the blood went away pretty quickly, so they must have fixed him up so he wouldn't be gushing blood out throughout the match. But still, pretty cool visual here to have some blood in the main event. If you're going to have the greatest wrestling match of all time, doesn't hurt to have some blood. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, best main roster match in years, but not the GOAT. And Hamp Kana with a $2 super chat says, good match, not better than Sting versus Jeff Hardy at Victory Road. Ha ha, Hamp. Nice joke there. You got jokes, my friend. And Josh Mansfield with the $2 super chat says, the 5 out of 5 main event was awesome. Only match I lost. Thank you guys that I just mentioned for your super chats. I appreciate it. So Randy Orton started picking up the pace here, throwing Edge around the ring, used the steel steps, slamming Edge's head into the steps. And then Orton did the Eddie Guerrero Three Amigos. Edge then turned that around and did his own version of the Three Amigos. They started exchanging chops with each other. A lot of references to other wrestlers during this match. A lot of tributes to other wrestlers. They even started using finishing moves from other wrestlers. Orton hit the pedigree from Triple H. Edge hit the rock bottom onto Orton. Edge used Christian's Unprettier. Lots of back and forth here with the finishing moves. Orton then hit an RKO, which Edge was able to kick out of. Orton then set him up for the punt, which, as mentioned earlier, we haven't seen in a long time. Randy Orton went for the punt, but then got hit with a spear instead. Edge hit a second spear. However, Orton kicked out of it. Crowd was going crazy, including the piped-in crowd. Lots of "This is awesome" chants and all that stuff. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat, which I'll get to here in a second because he's going off topic. Don't want to interrupt my flow too much. Orton hit another RKO, but Edge then kicked out of it. Orton finally managed to hit the punt on Edge. 1, 2, 3. Orton defeated Edge to give us a 50-50 booking outcome. One apiece for these guys. Oh, and I forgot to mention, during the match, Orton had Edge on the outside of the ring and said something like, "I'm going to kill you, MFer." So that was something else. Now, was this the greatest wrestling match ever? Gabe with a $5 super chat says, Edge won, Orton won. Next match might as well be the greatest arm wrestling match ever. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, I mean, where do you really go from here if you're going to do a third match with these guys? And according to reports, Edge tore his triceps during this match. I'm not sure when. I was trying to look out for it, but I'm not sure if I could pinpoint the moment where it happened. Maybe WWE edited it out. Who knows? The match was a spectacle. I would say it might have been the most entertaining match of the COVID era. This may have topped Stadium Stampede, in my opinion. Maybe topped Boneyard match. It was very entertaining. Was it the greatest wrestling match of all time? No. I don't think anybody in their right mind would say it was the greatest wrestling match of all time. But it was unique. It was memorable. I think we will definitely remember this match for years to come. It was very entertaining. I like the throwbacks, using the other wrestlers' finishers. And it was a really good match. It was. I think it was a bit overproduced with the piped-in crowd noises. But for what it was, I was entertained with it. I enjoyed it. And, I mean, it wasn't even the same thing as the Funhouse match. I mean, it was a different beast. But, again, I will give WWE credit for trying to do something outside the box here. And I did enjoy it a lot. I thought it was really good. Gabe with a $2 super chat says, Edge versus Orton, up, up, down, down, WWE 2K20. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of comments from people saying it felt like a simulated video game match. Kind of felt like no DQ CAW. Maybe that's why I liked it. And GK with a $5 super chat says, I love the nod to Howard Finkel. Can you name top 5 WWE announcers all time? Show was okay. Loved the main event, and the title matches were better than expected. Well, top 5 announcers, if we're talking about like commentators or ring announcers, I'm not sure what you mean specifically, but Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, Jesse Ventura, Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene Okerlund. There. 5 off the top of my head right there. And Mike Nixon with a $2 super chat says, I think it could be match of the year. I mean, it's really hard to say what is the match of the year in 2020 because COVID-19 has changed how wrestling is done now. So I don't even know what the criteria would be for match of the year. I mean, I think it will come down to what was the most entertaining match of the year. And I think for people, it's going to depend because everyone's going to have their own criteria on it. Was it this match? Was it the Boneyard match? Was it Stadium Stampede? Was it Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page from Revolution, which was a proper wrestling match with a crowd? Like, what's the correct answer? Is there one? Hamp Kana with a $2 super chat says, it's not the greatest, but WWE will say it was. And Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, Abbey Road is the greatest Beatles album ever. Well, I disagree with that. I would go with Rubber Soul, Revolver, maybe Sgt. Pepper, but I've always been torn between Rubber Soul and Revolver for me personally. White Album is great too. I mean, they're all great. GK with a $5 super chat says, call me Shorty GK after that. I mean ring announcers. Okay, ring announcers. Well, Howard Finkel, Justin Roberts, Lillian Garcia. I like Dave Penzer. I thought he was really good. And Gary Michael Capetta. How about that for the 5 greatest announcers? Just off the top of my head. Now, before we do the letter grade here, I do want to answer that question before I forget about it, which now I can't even find it. Okay, so from Psycho Jet Black. Would you rather watch a 1-hour Jackson Riker match or a 1-hour Ricochet promo? Damn, that's brutal. He says, also EC3's WWE career is the greatest waste of time ever. I guess I would rather hear a Ricochet promo just because I'm really curious to see how a 1-hour Ricochet promo would go. A Jackson Riker match would just probably be boring for an hour, but Ricochet, I might get some great entertainment value out of it. And Tony H with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Tony. Says, where does Randy Orton go from here? Orton versus Drew? Yeah, I think that's an obvious direction for SummerSlam, especially if Edge is going to be out of action with a torn triceps. If that's legitimate, then Edge is not going to be around for a while. So Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton seems like a very obvious direction for SummerSlam. I could see them rushing it. Maybe they'll do Lashley one more time at Extreme Rules. But yeah, I would be surprised if it's not McIntyre versus Orton at SummerSlam. Justin Petri with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Justin. Says, when Samoa Joe was congratulating AJ, he brought up about AJ celebrating with his family and had that smirk since we all know what happened last, LOL. I must have missed that, but now I got to go back and check that out. That would be a nice little throwback to the past. I like it. A little bit of continuity. Now, there was one more thing I wanted to mention here, and now I forgot about it. So let's go ahead and do the letter grade for the show. It was a fun show overall. It had some WTF moments for sure, but overall I was entertained. I'm going to give it a solid B. Not the greatest wrestling show of all time, but it was good. It was a pretty good wrestling show. Adrian with a C+. Mr. Anderson with a B. Zach with an A+. Lars Kirsch with a B-. CC Drink with a B. TW with a B+. Matt Helms with a B. Josh Mansfield with a B+, and Dr. NXT Scorpio with a C+, Calvin Bowman with a B-, Shaddy Snake with a C+, and Michael Wayne with a B, and Real Life with a D+. So a little bit across the board. I saw a couple of A's and D's, and I saw a lot of B's in there. So seems like for the most part, people liked it. GK with the $2 super chat says, will we ever see Samoa Joe versus John Cena? I really would like to see it because of their history breaking into the business together in UPW, but unfortunately, I think the odds are against it now with Samoa Joe's injuries and John Cena doing other things. I think unfortunately the time has passed. They had that window, what was it, early 2018, and then Joe got hurt. Sucks. Would have liked to have seen that match between those guys. I think that would have been fun. And now I remember the topic from earlier. Bryan and AJ or Edge and Orton? I'd probably go with Edge versus Orton. I mean, Bryan and AJ was more straight up. Edge and Orton was more pomp and circumstance, with the added crowd noise and the camera angles and the editing. It was, well, both matches were pre-taped. But, I mean, they tried to make Edge and Orton more flashier and all that stuff, the Finkel announcements. But yeah, I think Edge and Orton, as a spectacle, I think it gets the nod. But AJ and Bryan just had a damn great wrestling match on SmackDown. Ken Terminated by Google with a $5 super chat says, and Justice for All is the greatest Metallica album ever. Master of Puppets is great, but just my opinion. By the Ray Rift, no on Saint Anger, LOL. I like Saint Anger. I know people hate the drumming on that album, but I like it. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Ricochet is the greatest disappointment in WWE ever. Well, he's quickly becoming that way. I mean, he was red hot for a while. I think they should have kept Ricochet and Aleister Black as a tag team for a while. They were fire as a tag team, in my opinion. So a little bit of a letdown that they split up, and then Ricochet has kind of fizzled out since that storyline with Brock Lesnar. Just become a complete afterthought, which sucks considering how talented the guy is. So anyways, guys, that was WWE Backlash. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate your involvement in this video. Everybody that commented and left super chats, thank you very much as always. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. I will be back after Raw to discuss the show. AEW, NXT, No DQ Review 100 is this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the No DQ YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiffNoDQ. Hamp Connell with a $2 super chat says, thoughts on Chris Jericho wanting Roman Reigns in AEW? Well, I would like $1 million, but I'm probably not going to get it. So that's my thoughts on that. I mean, never say never, right? Anything could happen in wrestling. But I think it's highly unlikely for the time being. Maybe 5 years down the line, things could change. You never know. But I seem to sense like Roman will be a WWE lifer. But you never know. You just don't. Anyways, guys, on that note, I'm heading out for the night. Thank you very much for watching, as always. Take care, everybody. Be safe, stay positive, and I will see you all next time.